Starting.
Got the coffee.
All right.
We got the waters.
Yeah. Tell him if he goes to the page now, it'll be right there.
All right.
Okay. Awesome. Let me just make sure everything's in order. Preliminary podcast things that we got to do. All right, Mel. Thank you for joining me on this episode of BOPCAST.
Of course.
I really appreciate it.
Me, yo. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. It's funny because Aaron mentioned you, and I didn't know who you were, but then we had one class, like that first class, that business law class, and then you came over after, and I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, I know you.
Yeah, you were like
you're in my class.
When we were introducing ourselves in the class, you were like, my name's, Sully Bop, like I rap, I do everything. I do music, podcasts, everything, and you showed everyone your little, the
bop socket.
The bop sockets, yes. Yeah. And it was super, impressive. You went out and, you were just right, you gave the whole class. Yeah, this is it. So I was like, this kid's got, a groove. I like it. Yeah, and then, I was surprised to see you were Aaron's roommate.
Exactly. Then you walked in and you're like, oh, this kid.
Small world.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that you're an advertisement for yourself. So if I have a room of 30 people, maybe somebody will buy a shirt, So
100%.
Somebody will go listen to the album or something. So
it's all about getting out there, because if you don't get out there, then
yeah. And you mentioned that you were from Russia, so that's when I was intrigued by you, because I was like, she's different.
My opener.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's your opener.
And sometimes I usually when people, and teachers would be like, one fact about yourself, what do you do, where do you work, and I try not to touch on too much of modeling right away, because it kind of gets people feeling a little bit almost like,
oh, you're a model.
Yes, I've gotten that a lot. Right when you hear that someone's modeling or doing anything like that, there's a sudden push back, and then kind of look at the person almost differently. Some people, not everyone, but there's
naturally, yeah.
Yes,
it just happens with people, right?
So that's why I sometimes talk about my dancing instead, or I'll talk about being Russian. That's usually my opening fact for the class.
No, that's not cool enough. That's awesome. You have so many. You have a good amount of things in your life that are really cool in their own respects. So,
thanks.
Yeah, you got to make sure you don't throw that one out. You got to tone it back. Just, okay, I'm actually from Russia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm first generation here in America.
Okay.
So it's I'm trying to make my footprint.
Yep.
And I guess in a sense, and I don't know, it's my parents worked really hard to be able to, come to America and support me and my sister, and through college, through everything. So it's a big deal that I definitely make it count, by the end.
It's apparent. You're killing it.
You gotta just go on a limb, honestly. I never expected even to be where I am right now. Definitely. 2 years ago, I couldn't even fathom this, I was thinking about going to, college, doing the regular, the regular shebang, and I still am, but it's now I'm multitasking and doing all these different things.
With twists, yeah.
And you too.
A lot, but thanks. Yeah, you gotta do
the most.
You got to do the most, and you got to just fit the time in for it.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of people are bad at fitting time in.
Time management.
Yeah, it's just, and most of the time it's all in my head. I write things down, but not everything.
Right.
And most of the time it's just up there. I just know what I got to do, schedule it out. But
there's my grandpa, actually, my whole family's in Russia, so my grandpa is a very spiritual person. He's a really wise, person. He lives we live in a village, in a farm area. He lives kind of in the middle of nowhere, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But he's a Reiki master, Reiki healer,
wow.
And he does a lot of meditation and exercise, and he's just a super holistic health man. And he said a lot of wise things to me that have stuck with me throughout the years. And one of them was he's busy 24/7. There's not 1 minute where he's not doing something. Swear to God.
He doesn't spare 1 minute.
He doesn't spare 1 minute. He's always doing something, whether it's talking to someone, whether it's working on something on the farm, or in the, on the car, or working, making calls, driving me places, since I'm carless when I go to Russia, or driving my family. He's always doing something. He's always worked his whole life, and that's something that's always stuck in my head. He's always been you have to keep busy.
So
if you're not busy, you're wasting your life.
So that was your part of your foundation for the way that you go about your life now.
Absolutely, it's stuck
when
with me.
everything when you started having opportunities, you're I can't push any of these away. I have to just add them on and kind of just figure things out.
Like, people in high school would be like, Melana, why are you moving so quickly? Like, why are you always in a rush? You literally look like you're in a rush, you know, like, I would be like, just like, why are you always like rushing from place to place? And I wouldn't even like think about that. But like,
you don't like. It's not up to you to have an answer, really. Like, you don't have to.
I'm just like, yeah, I guess I'm a
this is
fast-paced, busy person. And then like, then I kind of, you know, made something out of it because it all started like junior, senior year of high school. But it's hard because I get like really lazy sometimes, just like any other human being. But I feel like if you just sometimes go past that and like think about the end goal, that really helps. But it's tough.
Yeah, you have to have this guy Gary V. He's a big, you know, like, yeah,
he's a cool guy.
He's an animal, yeah. So, but the biggest thing I take away from what he says is the macro patience and then the micro hustle. So every day you hustle, but then every day you're also thinking about what that, like you said, the end goal.
Yep.
What is that? What are you doing it all for? You know.
Definitely, there are so many people out there these days on like YouTube and like different, you know, channels making all these videos and motivational videos, and I've definitely I've seen how they can like help people alter their minds and like make them more motivated and change the way they think about things. And like, even personally, that's happened to me. But I have a few friends and close ones that like just like love watching YouTube videos and love watching people like Gary Vee speak.
I mean, I do.
And I'm like getting more into that, like literally like in the moment, like in the present right now, I'm getting way more into that. But yeah, I just feel like it's definitely a good channel to like getting new ideas and new ways of doing stuff.
Yeah, and it's like the music you listen to, basically. That's how I think about podcasts, too, is, like, the music you listen to is what is going on in your head. So that's what, like, whether you're actively listening to it or not actively listening, like, it's still, like, there, right? Yep. So it's the same thing. Like, if you put somebody else's positive or motivational or whatever you want to, could be anybody's thoughts, whatever type of thoughts, that's what's going to be in your head. So then you can almost you can influence yourself a little bit. Yeah, and then after a while, it's kind of like, oh, I kind of do agree. Like in the beginning, and especially with like Gary Vee, like in the beginning, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what is he talking about? You know?
What is he saying?
Yeah, what is he really saying? So yeah, like that's. But I'm happy that you're getting into that. Like I'm balls deep. Like I'm in. Like I listen to podcasts all day. Like that's what I do because I'm on it and I want to make mine better too at the same time, and I want to have just something that people can go to and get information and also learn from people. So
absolutely, that's so cool. Like you have like such a great setup and so much like knowledge about what you're doing and like just all the equipment you have. You know, honestly, and like you really know what you're doing. You're a professional. You know, and it's
thank you. I try.
It's impressive. Yeah. Like,
thanks.
It's just so cool to see everything come together.
I think people don't really realize what it is, though. And, like, especially, like, or until, like, they get here and they're, like, in here. Like, even, like, I just had my engineer on Beach Links, and he engineered my last album, like, crazy creative, like, has his own clothing line and everything. Just a straight animal. Shout out Beach Links. And he was like, this is so cool. And, like, to me, I'm like, this is just in my dining room with a table. Like, it's just whatever. It's just what I have, but in reality, it's like, who else is using their kitchen table to make podcasts? It's like not that many people. So
yeah, exactly. It's
I don't know. I try to just do something different. Like,
yeah, and you're going
switch
for
it up.
It. Gotta be different.
Oh, thank you.
You definitely can't be like go with the flow like regular. That's just like no fun. I feel like
I mean,
gotta stand out. Gotta be different in some type of way.
I try because listen, like I could sit down with you and have a conversation, right? But it's not. I can't get the same things out of people as when I'm just sitting down and talking to them and hanging out, you know, because there's so many other distractions and other people going on. Yeah, so like to actually be able to sit, like, this is what we're gonna do for a little while, like, and we're just gonna sit here and do it. So like that to me is like a cool different medium, like a different way to connect with people.
Definitely.
And then if people listen to it, that's just a plus for me.
Great,
like that's awesome. But I had this one because you were talking about your grandfather. Is like the Reiki, like the healing meditation, is that popular in Russia, or is that just kind of his thing? Like, do a lot of people do that there? Or
I mean, I know
take it back to switch it up.
Reiki masters and healers, Japanese. Reiki is like first a Japanese healing form, and it uses like energy from the hands, from the body, and like transferring energy that heals physical and emotional.
Through the chakras too, or is that
through the chakras from like top to bottom? And I've had a few really good Reiki experiences, and most of them have been extremely intense. It's almost like, it's almost
like a trip or. Like what's the intensity like? What is it? Is it like meditation intensity, or
it's like magic, honestly.
Wow.
It's like almost like a magical feeling. It's like I have a friend, her name is Julia, and she has worked her way up to become like a really awesome Reiki master. And when she was first starting out, she did like Reiki on me. This was my first time, and I came to her because I was feeling, I wasn't happy with myself and the way I was like, looking at the world and like almost feeling depressed. So I came to her and like hope that I can just feel better, like, and try and like relieve like the anger and the stress that was like I was dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
And she we went to like this little place, this little like reservation, and I didn't know like what the hell to expect. I was like, I mean, my grandpa has like put his hands like on me before in areas that have been pain, like I've been in pain, like just focused his energy into me before, and like it's gone away, and like small stuff like that with my grandpa, like growing up. But I've never had like the full experience. So like when I laid down and she'd like, first she was we were talking for a long time, and then after this was outside, so it was like really nice weather, and like
in Russia, you're saying?
This was here. No, this was here in America.
Yeah.
My grandpa's in Russia, but Julia like lives a couple towns over from me.
Got you. Okay.
North. And she like laid me down, and she first started like, she put sage around the whole area, and it's like, again, I had no idea what to expect, and I was like kind of like, ooh, what's happening,
Yeah.
But when she first, she kind of put me in a trance almost with her words and her like calmness. Like the sound of her voice is so soothing, and she started from my crown, which is like the first chakra, and she worked her way down all the way to my toes, and by the time she got to my throat, my body was already paralyzed, so I couldn't move because. So
it's like sleep paralysis type of deal. Like,
it's more. It's just like you are completely. You can't move. You're just numb. I remember she put some stones in my hands, and I gripped them, and my fists were so clenched, and I couldn't move. So, I started crying. She told me, and like you have to like let it out, let all the emotions out, start crying. Like as she kept like working her way through my body with her like energy, and eventually like it was just so painful. I started getting Charlie horses in my whole body. This was like my first experience, so like my whole body just like clenching up, and it was a pretty crazy experience because I was just crying. I was in so much pain. Half an hour later, after like she got down to the bottom and she like literally to my toes, and like slowly but surely I could start feeling my toes and my hands, my fingers, and like it took probably another half hour for me to actually get up and be able to sit up, and like walking around.
So it's this long process, really.
Yeah, it's a very like intimate, like long and like emotional process, honestly, spiritual and emotional. But that was my first experience, and it was very intense.
What are you thinking when this is like when you're feeling pain or you're
not
honestly, like what's in your head?
There was a lot of anger and like sadness that I was feeling.
Did you feel it like kind of
coming out? Everything basically just like escapes you, It's almost like you have to let it surface and then it can disappear type of way, and then you feel better. So I was like kind of holding back, and that's why my body clenched up. So that was like the craziest experience I've had with Reiki. It honestly was like my first time.
I'm glad that you can talk about it and get into it, because I don't even know. I know nothing about it.
It sounds pretty wild, but it's like.
I mean, obviously people. Obviously, there's that's woo woo shit. Like that doesn't actually work.
Yeah,
it's
people
not
are
real.
just like, oh.
Like, I assume this is people who haven't done it. I haven't done it. I can't say anything about it. There's a lot of things that I hear that unless I can do it and put it in the like meditation, I guess there's people who think that's not real. That's so real. That's me. That's my everyday. Like that has changed my life. So now I've kind of been getting more into this stuff, like just learning about it a little bit. So I'm like, that's awesome that you had that.
Reiki's just like any other type of like healing,
Did you have more after like experience with Reiki after that?
Yeah, I had to, I went to a couple other Reiki sessions and experienced slight pain, not really much, just kind of getting clenched up as well, but in the beginning. But after like a while I calmed down. So it was only the first time that was extremely intense, but it left me like definitely like changed as a person. After that I started feeling, and she told me a lot of important things, like, she taught me that you have to be grateful and appreciative and accept things. And she first said, like, you have to make sure like you accept your present. So like all this pain and anger, accept the present. Then you got to be grateful for stuff and just be appreciative. And then after that, like, just it gets so much like lighter in your life, basically.
Yeah, it's all in how you look at things most of the time. I think about that too, because I think I used to have a lot worse mindset.
Yeah.
You know, I really, really developed my mindset to, like, through just things like that. And also, like, Gary Vee would say that all the time too. I was like, what does being grateful have to do with business? Like, what does that have to do with making money? Or, like, it has to do with everything. Really.
Yeah.
Because that's a reflection on you.
It's definitely a big characteristic that I like is being grateful, and like it's just like being grateful for everything around you is so important.
So many things go right. Like, I've said this multiple times on the podcast already. So many things go right every day. Like, so many things don't happen that could have happened.
Oh, that's so true. So many close ones, right?
Yeah, and like your car, you didn't lose a wheel and crash into a tree. Like, that's pretty good,
the
you know?
moments where you're just like, your heart drops and you're like, oh, wait, I'm good.
Yeah,
you know? Like, and I'm grateful to be alive. Like,
exactly. Like, it's a lot. I think a lot of the time you almost need a moment for that to bring things back in perspective. And like doing Reiki, it seems like that's kind of like that. Like, it just brings you back.
Definitely.
You know, it lets you like rewind and go, oh, okay, where's this all like coming from?
Where's the pit of everything?
Yeah, let's get it through
and get it out. It's true, and it's definitely something I recommend that everybody try at least once.
I'm interested in it now. I'd like to at least just check it out.
Yoga and Reiki, you know.
Yeah, yoga's good too. I did yoga for a while, and it really helped. Like, I know I should keep doing it.
People who are like blessed with the gift of being Reiki healers, just the power that you have is like so immensely intense. Like, people can't even fathom. Like, I've always like thought about it in two ways. Like, there are those spiritual people that look at people who aren't spiritual and think, quote unquote, they're crazy. And then there are people who aren't very spiritual and more, you know, what's the right word? They look at the like very spiritual and like kind of like elevated thinking people, and they're just like, oh, they're crazy, you know. They're just like, but at the same time, it's just two different sides, and it's just once you get to that higher level of thinking, then you can see that.
It's a spectrum, really. Yeah, it's a spectrum too. Like, there's two sides of it. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's it. And then I try to just keep myself somewhere in the middle and
be open-minded.
That's all that matters. Just be open-minded. Yeah, and like try not to hug a side. I mean, our society is so tribalist. Like, everybody's on a tribe and on a team. So, especially in America, like
very cliquey. Yeah.
Very cliquey. Yeah, because you have all these different types of people, and you know, a few popular teams. Like, in politics, you have two, you know, so so that's to break out of that boundary too, is like, if you can do that and kind of get past that, like, I don't watch sports anymore, really, because I just don't want to be aligned with something. I don't want to have any emotion towards like a certain team that has nothing to do with me, you know. Like, I don't not watch sports just for that reason. It's just another thing, like just another there's another like version of it, I guess. Like, I'll just be like, how did I really like this team? Like, I just like the guys on it are cool, but like I don't have any real connection to it. Like, I feel the same way with most like large team things where you like just have to pick a side. Like, I just don't think that's human. Like, I don't think
sides.
No, I don't. Yeah, no, I try to not.
That's a good mentality.
But yeah, and I mean, obviously, I try to have like strong opinions and arguments towards things that I believe in and that are supported by fact. But I don't know, when it comes to teams and sides, I'm like anti-tribalist, like all
the way.
That's
great. I like that though. I like that. I definitely like that.
There's a little bit of like cynicism in it, but it's just that's accepted, you know.
Well,
but I try to balance, you know.
Balance it.
The cynic with the like optimist. And
good amount of both.
Yeah, try. Yeah.
But how long have you been like podcasting? You know.
A year. Over a year.
Over a year.
Yeah, because I've done of this. This is the 7th episode of. So all right. So I'll like bring it back, because every episode I just. Like, this comes up anyway, so I just gotta lay it out.
Lay it out right away.
Lay it out just so people know, like, if there's new people listening. So I made this podcast called the Millennial Mind Podcast, right? And that was my goal was to do basically what I'm doing right now, and I wanted it to be about millennials. I didn't want it to be my name. I didn't want it to be associated with me. I wanted to just be about the people I'm having on and about people learning about it.
Okay.
And so I had this. There was another podcast with the same name. So I think it was Millennial Minds or something, you know, with an S. So I was like, you know what, I feel cheap. Like, I don't want to knock these guys off. They kind of already have a podcast. I had no idea. I already had my podcast on all platforms at this point. And I was like, damn, okay. They weren't doing as many episodes as I was, and they weren't putting them out as frequently. So, but regardless, I was like, I might as well just connect it to me. It's okay. Like, I'm the host. Right. I'm the host, so I might as well.
It's true, you are the host.
And people really like the name BOPCAST, so, and so did I. Like, that was my original idea, too. So, so I did about 7 or 8 episodes of the Millennial Mind podcast, and then I switched it over. So, that's where I'm at.
So you had it as like a different name, different type of vibe, and then you switched it over.
Yeah, and I did 2 episodes by myself in the beginning, just to kind of test it out.
And talk. And
yeah, just in my headphones, listening to myself, and going through a lot of different topics. I used to do this segment on Instagram called Monday Thoughts, and every Monday I'd put out a minute of different thoughts that I was just thinking that day, like, should college be free? Should like all these, just things like that. And then 1 week I'll have college should be free, and then the next week I'll have college shouldn't be free, and I'll just do a video on why each one, the arguments on both sides.
And argue.
Yeah, so I made a podcast to also like expand on those ideas. I stopped doing the segment, but I just kept the podcast going. And then I was like, I need to make it about other people. Like, I don't want to just sit here by myself.
And I love that. I love that you're so interested in, like, other people, you know, especially, like, just like, with the most random talents, you know? Just, like, I think that's...
Yeah. I mean,
awesome.
The list goes on.
Forever,
It's gotten crazy at this point. Like, sponsored skateboarder, mini sprint car drivers, let me think. Pattern day traders, rappers, music producers, models. Hey, yeah. So that's kind of. I'm just trying to diversify because every podcast I put out is a better chance that this person is gonna. Something's gonna happen. Like, obviously the ball's already rolling for you and a lot of these people,
right?
You know, so it's good for me and it's good for them too.
Yeah.
Because if they get huge or if I get huge or something,
both of us benefit.
both benefit, both opportunities, and you can always come back on and talk.
Definitely.
So yeah. But I appreciate you asking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's super dope. It's a really nice way to just get all the info out and like all your thoughts.
It's really easy. All you have to do is sit down and talk, and that's the hardest part. I guess for people sometimes. Like, honestly, the hardest part for me is uploading it everywhere and doing all the advertising. That's the hardest. The podcast is the easiest thing. Yeah. Like,
I have to do, definitely, I want to add more, like, chats and, like, talking and more just messages from me on, like, my platforms and stuff.
Yeah, so people can know,
like, actually
who
speaking.
You are.
Yeah, and just talk more about myself. Hence why I think this podcast is, like, a great idea, because I feel like a lot of people... You know, they know I model, they know I dance, they know I do these things, but they don't really know much about me.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that I want to turn my Instagram into more of like a blog type of thing.
Yeah.
Add more stuff about myself.
Because there's obviously reasons why you wouldn't want to completely put yourself out there and say, this is everything, this is my personality. Like, so they know. There's reasons why you wouldn't want to have all that out there. But at the same time,
you need it to be,
if you want to get personal, then you can. And people like that.
And it makes it real when you just...
It does.
Include
rather
more
than
like
just a picture.
Yeah, it's not just photos anymore. It's actually like a person, like a real person.
Yeah, like you could have like, you can just talk in your captions. Like you could just, you know, like do
100%.
whatever. You could just do videos and whatever. Obviously, use clips of this. You can use clips of this, and you know, so that's it.
I'll put a clip in there.
Yeah.
But definitely, I mean, like hopefully soon. I'm hoping one day, you know, just get that one repost or get that something, and then hopefully I can just shoot up even higher, honestly, like from what I'm doing already. And my whole, like, you know, I've been thinking about like reasons why people should follow me, like what's my like message to people like that follow me, because it's not just, I don't want it to be all about me. I want it to make some kind of message and like kind of like motivation.
Yeah, if you're gonna have people, a platform, then you might as well say something, right?
There has to be a message behind it. Yeah. But honestly, I'm leaning towards just being grateful and remembering to be grateful, because that's something I remind myself every day.
Yeah, so if that's huge for you, then that's
definitely is
what you should do. That's what you should focus on.
It's crazy. Like, once you just show gratitude, like, life just gets you right back.
It does. And also, that's the truth. And the other day was a perfect example of this, and I told this last episode too, but regardless, I'll say it quick. My friend was on he's a guitarist and music producer too, and he was on the podcast. He's cool, and he's very talented too. And so like he was down south doing a show, and he had a rental car and he had his camera in it, and somebody stole it. So he put on his Instagram that happened. I Venmo'd him $10, and I only did a podcast with him. Like, other than that, I don't really know him too well. But I was like, you know, like, this kid works hard. Like, I hope somebody would do that for me, you know. And then later that night, somebody hit me up and was like, hey, can I use this beat in my video? I'll give you $10.
Get it
There you go.
back.
Get it right back. I got it back that
and
day.
you won, you know? It's
Yeah,
like,
and I won.
You got something.
I helped 2 people that day, and I didn't lose any money.
Didn't lose any money, but back to zero.
Exactly.
I like that. It's really nice. I love helping people, honestly. Like when
Sorry, I'm just gonna just go a little closer to you. Sorry. If you can lean back if you want, it doesn't matter to me.
But I do love helping people. That's something like I genuinely love to do when I see someone like in need of help.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to help them. Like I don't like to discriminate, and I don't judge people.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely don't judge people. I just don't ever like look at someone and I'm like, oh, I don't like the way he looks. You know,
no,
he's like wearing this and he's weird. You know, I'm never gonna be like, you're weird. Like you're not cool. You know, like you look like this, so you know you can't. Or you're not wearing nice shoes. You can't, you know, sit with me. Like there's no like I've never been the type of person to like leave someone out.
Is touchy. Like you never really know.
It's like I've never tried to leave people out, and that's one of my big things. Like I like including everybody, and I feel bad when I see someone left out, so I always have to like bring them into the group. And you can't
always like, but if you try to, like you can't always, but if you actively try to, then you win. Like
and seeing people just like
and it feels good too, and it feels good for them.
It feels nice for them to be included, and like it just makes me happy. So I definitely love to do that. It's one of my big things. But
well, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
I try to do the same. I mean, if people hit me up and they like want some advice or they need like a beat or something, like I try. Like I do my best. Sometimes like there's been times when I can't help people, you know? There's been times when like, listen, man, I can't write your bars for you. Like
that's all, yeah.
You know? Like there's nothing I can do really. I hope that you just sit there and grind and just do it. You know? But back to like the image thing too, and like and judging people, like I don't get judged really hard at all. Like I've no like people that never happens to me really. Or if it does, I'm not affected by it. I just don't know what people are thinking, you know? But I'll go up to rap and I'll be like, somebody be like, yeah, he's rapping. And the kid, like the other day, a kid was like, no, you're not. He's like, no, you're not. I think he was joking. Like, he was fucking around. But at the same time, and I was like, yeah, man. Like, let me get up there. They just wait. Just give me like 5 minutes. Like, you'll see. You know? But
that's true.
People don't. It happens to me all the time. I just said, yeah. So I just say I'm a musician, honestly, most of the time. Like, I just say I'm a musician. I have a podcast.
A lot of people know you on campus. Like, whenever I posted you and a bunch of people slid up and were like, so Bob, he's awesome. I saw him at the showcase. Like, he was really great. Loved his songs. Like,
that's awesome, and I just got here, so that's good.
Yeah, like a few people definitely already have slid up and like know who you are, and like you're leaving your mark. You know.
I try to do that with everybody though. I try to like everybody is another person I can connect with, and they can hopefully possibly like my message, you know, in the music.
Yeah, and you guys can help each other.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Like everybody that I show on campus though, mostly like. People are like, oh shit, I'm glad somebody's making this, like like making something cool at Stockton, you know.
That's cool, and not a lot of people can actually, you know, like rap. You know, like some people say like they rap, but not a lot of people can actually like sit there and just spit bars or rap or actually create something and come out with something. Like they just either try too hard or it's just like the content like isn't there, and,
or
like,
it's a here and there thing, you know, like they do it when they feel like
it's kind of like not your 100%, and then it doesn't work if you don't give it your like full 100 or 100%.
That's how a lot of hobbies and art and things are for people, and it was like that for me in the beginning,
definitely,
but it's not now, and I think I'm trying to make it obvious to people, you know.
Absolutely, it is obvious. 100%. You put so much work into your advertising and like all your podcasts and like just the little details, all the little details, in the end they all add up and they matter.
That's what I try to do. I try to just be real. Like, just this is what I'm making, so here you go. You know? And you do the same thing. This is what I'm shooting today, or this is how I'm looking. Like, here you go.
Yeah, here you go. But actually, like, speaking of shooting, someone today brought up like topic of, you know, like, why do you take pictures? Like, why do you feel the need to like upload pictures and stuff of yourself, whether they just be regular pictures or whether I post the occasional sexy picture once in a while, you know? And like I've started posting more, you know, like not intimate photos, but more like, you know, a little bit more like showy photos, and I've gotten like some judgment recently. You know, people have been like, wow, I'm so surprised, you know, that you're posting that type of stuff, because I haven't, you know, in the past.
Yeah.
And it all comes to just like being comfortable with your body, and it's all about like the content you put out. But people like just, the question came up like, why do I shoot? And it's literally just the same thing. Like, I'm creating art. Like, I want to put something out there and in an artistic way, and like collaborate with someone on that level, and it's like make those connections. And so it has to do with what you said. Definitely.
Yeah, it is art, and I think a lot of people just see it as pictures, but it's when they, like you said before, when they don't realize that it's a $3 million studio and it's this $500,000 camera or something, and it's all these things in the background that go into you being a professional at what you do. It's
all
like, it's just, this is real. This is what I do. Like, there is no, like, it's both. Like, it's your business and it's your life. So
definitely, people think it's sometimes like they look at photos and like, oh, it's pretty. You know, she didn't have to do much. You know, it's super easy. And in the back of my head, I'm just like, I wish it was super easy. Yeah. I enjoy it so much, and that's the only reason I do. But like the amount of time, gas,
you make a living on your looks. Like, that's hard. That's tough.
Being like
I make a living on my obviously voice. On my like hands and other things, but I'm trying to make a living with my voice. But that's different. You know, I don't have to worry. I can look whatever. Like, you're making a living on what people judge you on first.
Absolutely. And you know? That's why like I stay true to myself when most of the time, like with how I look, you know, like I only really go out of my way and dress up for a booked shoot or a booking or a collaboration that I'm doing. You know, I go out of my way to do a full face of makeup and I'll do the full look, but most of the time I'm just completely casual and just no makeup, sweatpants, chilling. And that's how everyone honestly should be. There shouldn't be any like, you just gotta just wear what you want to wear, and there should be no judgment.
Do it how you want to do it.
Someone told me once, you know, like people will treat you based on how you're dressed. So I've heard that before a couple times being said, like people will treat you the way that you're dressed. So if you don't look good, you know, someone might not treat you the same. And I've kind of seen how that's played out in my life.
It does though.
Right? Like I feel like definitely like,
I mean, especially for girls too, I think.
People don't even notice it. Like if I'm dressed a certain way, more approachable now, I guess. Like, okay. I never understood that.
I mean, it's got to be a factor. It's definitely a factor because of looks is so much of a factor of first impression and also just how you, because when you see anybody, you make a judgment about them like automatically. Like you're not being judgmental. You're just you're thinking something just about the person, right? So that makes sense though. But do you think that, so if somebody wanted to do what you do, right? Like somebody wanted to basically just, you know, go out there and be a model. Can they do it? Should they do it? Like, what is your advice to these people?
I mean, in 2019 right now, it is the best time to get involved in anything you want to get involved, whether that be modeling, dancing, making podcasts, or doing anything. Sure. Like, it is better to just go for it than not. And like, getting started, of course, isn't easy, but it's doable. And
you did it by yourself.
By myself, like.
And you represent yourself.
And I represent myself. I'm a freelance model, and it's very like interesting how I started, because I started just with a shoot for fun. It was with my friend Anthony, and we were shooting for Electric Family. It's like a rave apparel company.
Cool.
And we had like smoke bombs, and it was really cool. And when I got the photos back, I was just looking to myself. We did like a ballet shoot. We did some extra stuff. It was a fun time. I was at Rutgers Gardens. And I looked at the photos, and I'm just like, wow, I really like these. And I feel like, you know, I can really do this. Like, I'd had a few, like, you know, casual, just like with friends shoots before. But I'm like looking at them, and I'm just like, wow, you know, like, I want this. And I was like, I want this. So I'm going to work for it. And like, I definitely didn't know how much work I was and stress I was putting myself under, because, you know, the driving, the time, the look, having to look perfect sometimes is very stressful for shoots. But it's, I mean, I told myself that I'm going to do it, and I did. And it's like, once you just continue to keep going every single day, like, I used Instagram as a base to really grow myself, and reached out to, like, photographers. Like, let's say a model wants to start modeling, just maybe collab with a friend who has a camera, get some beginner shots, you know, amateur shots, put
just
those
something,
out.
Right?
Yeah, just something.
Just start it off.
put those out
but
there.
But always be looking to get that better shot. And, like, naturally, it seems like that kind of, like, the opportunity came as you were putting yourself out there. Like, I assume that, like, better photographers you were working with better photographers, or maybe bigger ones or different ones, as you went along. And it only started with that first shoot. And
it's like after that, I just started spamming. I just started reaching out to hundreds of photographers, I would shoot with anyone who wanted to shoot with me, but then I'd also be really particular with, like, making sure that I feel comfortable with them and that I bring a friend. That's pretty feel it out.
Yeah. What am I trying to say? that's pretty important.
Smart, yeah.
That's an important. Sometimes you get tripped up on the podcast. You know, just like, what is that word?
In your thoughts.
It's like real life every day. What is that word? But no, that is important though, right? Being comfortable. And because if things are not comfortable, then that's.
I've had like a shoot where it's been uncomfortable before, and it's because I probably went alone. You know. It's not like he was, you know, a professional, but it was just like an awkward and uncomfortable experience. And it was in the middle of a snowstorm in the middle of Brooklyn. I was like 3.5, 4 hours away from home. It took me 4 hours to get to the shoot. It was like 2 hours late. And it was it was just like an indoor shoot. So it was okay. Stuff like that, like, definitely I learned as I progressed. And just started, like, slowly hitting up more and more professional people, seeing who'd like to work with me, although my portfolio was not big. And then slowly but surely I started shooting with more professional and published photographers. I started shooting with 2 of my favorite photographers, Rob and Matt. Shout out to Rob and Matt.
Shout out.
They're awesome, and they started doing
they can come on if they want.
Shoots with me, and in Pennsylvania. They're both in Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
And they kind of helped me boost my career more. They both got me published in a magazine.
Nice.
I got published with Rob in Elegant magazine and with Matt in Solis magazine. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
that's big things. It's big things, Mel.
Definitely, slowly but surely. And then after a while, I just started putting my rates out there. So now I have some really certain rates that I give out to most photographers, because I usually don't do collaborations.
Okay,
unless I'm really feeling it. But, like, it's not easy, but it's a lot more doable than people think.
Yeah.
You just want to if you don't want to live that basic lifestyle, if you don't want to live that regular life.
Do something different.
Do something. Like, I'm trying to get more into dancing, because that's been, like, one of my bigger and biggest passions. Like, and recently I've been doing a lot of shuffling and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get more into dancing, getting together videographers to bust out really cool dancing videos.
And shoot and edit them, put them together.
Definitely trying to just do some dope shit, get some more content out there.
Yeah, baby. That's it.
Yeah, trying to do some more content, which is exciting. And
that's always a good thing.
Just not stopping with it is important. Like, you could take breaks, like weekends. I work most weekends since I have off. So I'll, like, take a weekend break here, and then the next weekend, all 3 days I'm shooting. Weekend break, all 3 days I'm shooting.
Gotcha.
Or by booking.
And then during the week sometimes too, right?
During the week sometimes, yeah. And then weekends I dance during the night, so I have my go-go dancing gigs at night.
So you have that too. So you're pretty booked up.
Yeah, definitely pretty
your time,
busy.
Especially with school and this.
It gets stressful.
Your time is filled,
Monday,
to the
Tuesdays,
brim.
Wednesdays.
Writing papers in class mandatory.
Like, I tell people sometimes, like, I know this sounds pretty bad, but it's like, if you text me, please wait like 3 to 5 business days.
No, I do the same thing.
Right?
People, all right. So my mentality is bad, like, with that too. I honestly, I don't want to sound like a dick. I think you're worse than me. I think.
I probably am.
I think you're worse than me. Smilo would, like, Smilo knows, because he, like, deals with both of us.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Facts.
Yeah. So, but either way. I just don't sometimes. Listen, I just can't answer. Sorry.
You know.
I just can't. I'm in a mode, and that mode is not going to be broken by somebody's text message. It's just not. Like, I'm in a zone. That zone can last for a while, and I'm not coming out.
It's so, like,
especially if I plug it in too. Like, I don't want to be on the phone. I want to be on the phone to post my posts, and then other than that, all that extra time I'm on there is wasted time.
That's facts.
You know,
that's facts.
Connecting with people, obviously, and liking and commenting, like, you have to do it. But there's a point where it's just
you don't want to be.
It's like a bell curve. Like you get to the top and then it just starts coming back down again, and you're like, ooh, I'm in bad territory right now.
Yo, totally. Like I definitely get so sick of my freaking phone. Like I just want to throw it sometimes. Like I have an iPhone 6, so it's super glitchy, and on top of that, I'm just constantly trying to just connect with people and comment and like interact like you were saying, so it's like hard. It's definitely hard to stay off of it.
Yep.
Sometimes I feel like an Instagram addict. I'm just always on Instagram and I'm just like,
yeah,
go get out of bed, Melana.
I take like 2 weeks off a year, like full weeks. Like I'll take a full week off of all social media, and then every 6 months I'll usually take another full week off. And then when I come back, I'm like, I don't need this shit. I hate it. I don't need it. I'm not gonna look at any post. I'm not gonna click on anything. And then 2 weeks later, I'm back to where I was.
I get caught up sometimes, but at the same time, like on Instagram, it is my main platform, so that's why I spend so much time on it, because that's how I, how I get work, on the occasion.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, me too. Like, it's how people find me. And,
right, it's
like,
how they
book
find
gigs
you.
And things. Yeah,
it's so easy these days to connect and interact with people who are like halfway across the country, or like. Yeah. So it's just so convenient.
You can collab with anybody anywhere, basically.
It's so convenient, man. So convenient. I love it.
Yeah. It sucks that's the thing, It sucks that it holds so much value.
Do you think Instagram's gonna like one day like be like a Vine that just fell off one day? That just disappeared. It's just gonna be like another app that like Facebook that's like gone.
I use this example all the time. Generation. Like obviously Sears didn't think it was gonna close, and Sears had no idea Walmart was coming along, and Walmart had no idea Amazon was gonna be a thing. So we're in this stage where like MySpace didn't think it was gonna go down the drain either.
No one knew.
Nobody thought it was. So we're at this point where we're at the top. Like Amazon and Instagram, they're at the top of their fields, right? And Facebook owns Instagram, and WhatsApp too. So it's really Facebook.
Owns everything basically.
Yeah, and then like Facebook is the Amazon of social media. Amazon is the Facebook of online retail.
That makes sense. I feel like every app kind of just goes like. Oh.
Every business does that though. I mean, it's pretty rare that a business stays where it's at and continues to grow. Right. It's that continual growth that is so prevalent in places like Silicon Valley, and where these people own these. Like you have to every year. Like the guy who owns Twitter, like every year he has to make more money. So
you have to, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like crazy. But it's coming back to Instagram. I don't know. Facebook can ruin it. Facebook kind of ruined Facebook. So even though so many people use it, Facebook sucks. But does it suck just because we have Instagram? It's like if Instagram never came, would we still be on there? I don't know. But will Instagram suck because we have something else?
Probably one day.
Maybe.
That's what I think.
It could. I think when we get heavy into AI and when like you can have microchips in your brain and things like that, cool, that's when the next thing's coming.
That's when like
maybe.
All these
Don't
apps.
quote me on this, folks, but maybe.
Maybe.
But that's a good question though. I like to talk about it like whenever I can, because it's an important thing. Like Instagram means a lot for a lot of people, and people make a lot of money on there too.
Whenever I look at people's phones, like not in any way, but like when I'm on the shuttle and like everyone's standing around, you know, or like I just always see Instagram like constantly, that's everyone just is always on it. It's always like the platform where you're just always on it. Like just a couple scrolls, all right, click out,
Yeah.
Couple scrolls,
I'll just like one
out.
picture and close it.
Sometimes.
And because I'm like, oh,
gotta go do something.
God, no. I didn't want to do this.
But I do like Instagram because I use it for like Acid Garden and my other and I have a personal page, so I have those 3 pages that I like to run. And
Acid Garden is yours?
Yes, it is my small online shop.
It's an online boutique business?
It's like an online boho hippie shop. Yeah, I
That's
sell
cool.
Like really cool tapestries, different
These are things you make, or
I get them made for
me. Yeah, gotcha.
Pendants and like crystal bracelets, necklaces, a couple different necklaces, and
check it out. What's the link?
It's just Acid Garden. Look it up on Instagram.
All right.
People
Acid Garden,
they
folks.
they're like, acid? I'm like, yeah, Acid Garden. It just sounded cool when I picked it. I was like,
that's a cool name. It sounds good to me.
There was
it's good for marketing purposes.
Yeah, like on Instagram.
No, you can the amount of trippy like advertisements that you could use with that.
Definitely. The logo is like a little mermaid with a peace sign. So if you guys want to find that on Instagram and follow, I'll definitely follow back.
Get it, Essex Garden. Mel's following back on there.
And I can, if you message me, I'll give you a thick discount on anything you like, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the people,
including
right
you.
I'll take a look, see what we got. I might need something for the stew, you know.
We just did a shoot before.
We did a shoot right here.
For Sully Bop, what's it called? Merch.
Yeah, Bop merch all day, baby.
We did some shirts. One shirt. But we got some good photos.
Yeah, big time with the blacklight too.
Yeah,
that was
the blacklight photos were
awesome.
so cool. So that was a nice.
This is the first model we've had on set in the BOPCAST Smilo Studios.
Yes.
But it is for real. This is the play. This is gonna be when our vision is executed perfectly for this space. It's gonna be sick.
I'm guessing you're gonna put LED lights.
We're gonna have we're gonna have desks here that can move that are on wheels.
You should get wheelchairs.
Yeah, wheelie chairs too, and then put the plastic on the floor so they can roll, and then have we're gonna make an L-shaped desk that rolls, so we can put it right here for the podcast, and then put it back in the L for when me and Smilo are working, or we're having people come in to create. I'm buying eventually, once I get some money saved up, I'm buying a whole new setup for my room for the studio, so I'm bringing all that stuff out here, so I could do the podcast here, create music here, do pictures,
you guys are two of the most creative guys I know. You guys work together so well, and you're so creative and you're so passionate, both of you, about your fields and just everything.
We try. Thank you.
It's just so the passion. I love it.
I think we feed off of each other too, because if we're if one of us doesn't have the idea, if I don't have it, he'll have it. If he doesn't have it, I'll have it, for our respective things too.
Right.
Be yo, what about just moving this way, or he'll be like, what about adding this instrument?
Oh man.
There you go.
Long day.
This podcast is brought to you by caffeine.
literally what I run off sometimes. Sometimes, when you see me, running around, bopping on the walls, I'm probably on, 3 cups of coffee, fucking...
Yeah, I've been, on the weekends, I'll have a couple cups, but I usually try to keep it a cup a day.
Cup a day?
Yeah, it was getting bad. Last semester, there was a point where it was getting bad, so...
Around finals, midterms.
Tone it down. Yeah, things just get ramped up. Also, at my job, I don't work there currently, but there was a guy who drank 8 to 10 cups a day.
Guy who drinks, there's huge ones that are huge, ounces at a time.
The biggest one.
The biggest ones that's plastic, but they're huge. Mm-hmm. He drinks 2 of those a day.
It's wild.
You gotta make.
I was that made me realize hey man, 1 cup. You're okay. You're 20 years old. You have energy. You're supposed to have energy.
He drinks a couple of those a day, and I'm just
this guy's 68 years old. I can't blame him. But at 20, it's 1.
Yeah, you don't need too much. Yeah. You're still
But for a podcast, I'll rip it.
Nice cup of coffee.
Because it gets things going.
I just had a cup of Joe before, and I'm still feeling tired, man. It's just the day.
It's your grind, Mel.
It's the day. It's the end of the day. It's coming to the evening.
Yeah, it's getting there. I hope that the stream is okay for anybody watching, because we've dropped 35,000 frames.
35,000 frames.
Yeah, and at 60 frames a second. That's kind of a lot of frames to drop. Smilo could be on the Wi-Fi, but I don't think so. He usually gets off for me, but...
I think that...
It's all good.
Whoever's tuning in is...
Episode 6. I forgot to put your name in here. It's okay.
It's okay.
You want me to just put Melana?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome.
Definitely tag my Instagram handle and such. But... Again, thanks for, having just me, here just to talk about myself, because hopefully just, some people definitely tuned in and could hear some more about both of us and, our collaboration.
No, it's good for both. And, you have like I said, you came from Russia, you're a model, you have this light that a lot of millennials don't live. And I think there's a lot of millennials that want to live like that, or they want to have their own version of that,
Definitely.
And they want to know how they can do it, or they want to have what is somebody who's doing something like I want to do, what's their mindset, what are they thinking about, what are their priorities, and I think especially since we've became friends and I've talked to you, I know you have that mindset, because you wouldn't if
Definitely.
You didn't.
Yeah.
And you talk to who you have to talk to, you don't waste time.
Yeah.
There's you learn from your grandfather, you're not going to waste a minute.
Waste
and I learned that from my grandfather too, and my dad. they worked 7 days a week. Like my dad worked seven. He would work on the side on the weekends, and then he would work 50 hours or whatever during the week. You know, like that was what I grew up with too. As like, he would come home and just wake up at 7 on Sunday and just start working on shit. Like,
and then it's like
I'm trying to sleep in, you know, and you just don't realize it until you start doing it. Yeah,
until later.
Because you're like, this guy's like, my dad's fucking crazy, like, you know, and you really don't until you start getting on the grind.
You don't realize a lot of things, honestly. I feel like until you're older, like
a lot of things come back.
Things.
Yeah, so many. And imagine we're not even close to. We're just starting.
Right now, we're just starting.
We're babies, basically.
We are babies.
In the span of life. Like, we might do this podcast in 10 years, though. Like, I'm not saying we won't do it 6 months from now, but we might also do it in 10 years.
10 years, and then I wonder what would happen.
Yeah,
you know?
What's the world going to be like?
Man, I've read this one book. I read this one book about basically a guy who fell into a coma. Mm-hmm. And was in a coma for like 20-some years. Mm-hmm. And when he woke up, he said he saw the future, and he saw the 22nd, 23rd century, whatever. He saw like basically thousands of years in advance, and said we had a World War III. Said people are focused on holistic health methods because they realize like, you know, like medicine and all that stuff, it's all bullshit, and they start focusing more on like Reiki, meditation. Yeah. It's like a supposed world. Like this guy literally wrote what he like dreamt about while he was in a coma, and he predicts it's the future because he said he saw the future, and then he woke up and he was like, whoa, what the fuck?
Wow, I'm not in the future. That's crazy though.
I don't remember what the book was called. I never finished it.
That would be wild
if
that comes to fruition, then I'm sold. Then this guy is a prophet. We should listen to him.
It's definitely it's a cool idea to think about what's going to happen. Like, I have no idea. I honestly can't even tell.
Like, I don't even know what's going to happen in a week. Like,
right?
Hey, you never know. Russia's been saying some shit. Korea's been saying some shit.
Everyone's always
saying some shit.
Always. There's always going to be drama.
Geopolitical drama.
Sometimes I literally don't follow politics. Like,
I don't either. No, I really don't. I follow, like, I kind of know what's going on, but...
Yeah, like the presidency, a couple other things. Yeah. In class, I'm forced to research and stuff, so, like, that gets me to keep up. But I honestly could care less. Yeah. Because my life, I know this sounds weird, but my life is unafflicted in a way, right? For the most part, like, obviously there's a bigger picture. Like, to day, I don't really think about politics because I'm unafflicted, but, like, when I'm sitting in class and we're talking about issues like racism, and we're talking about issues like the pollution and all, like, you know, like getting rid of certain programs and Donald Trump problems and, like, you know, war and, like, just, I'm, like, looking in Venezuela and stuff like that. Like, I'm looking at all these problems and I'm like, wow, all these people are getting affected, and that's when I care. Yeah. But usually, like, day to day, it's like
when you're on your grind, it's like I'm kind of just on my grind right now. I can't think about it.
makes me very, like, almost sad sometimes when I look at politics, because I'm like, damn, we're just failing.
Oh, it's all sad. I mean, if you just watch TV, you're gonna get depressed.
Right? There's just so much going on.
That's why we don't have cable here too. It's like I don't want it. I don't want it.
Who needs cable these days? No, Netflix all the way.
Exactly. Like, I don't even want to be afflicted.
Right.
Yeah, you're unafflicted. Yeah, I don't even want to be. I don't want to be afflicted by that either. I don't want it to have to, like, if it, like you said, the bigger picture, it could have a bigger implication that I don't know about, but, you know, I'll know when I know, I guess is the bottom line.
It's definitely important, though, like, from taking this one class in, like, school, and I never even thought that I'd be, like, actually kind of changed by a class, but, like, we're learning about political issues and, like, all these, like, incarceration problems and all these other things, and it's like I never realized how interesting that stuff is and how many issues we actually have going on. So I literally like, you know, like when you're on Instagram and you're like scrolling and it's like, sign this petition for like polar bears.
Yeah.
I like
straws, whatever.
Or like sign this for the penguins, you know. I remember I clicked on it and I signed like 40 petitions and I'm like, all right, I did something. Yeah. But voting is honestly what you can do. Voting for your senators,
voting
for president
is what you can do. That is your number one thing.
That can really help, because some states, like, literally, it's just, like, a 3 votes that can change, you know, the whole
it could be. Sometimes election. It's really close. Like, sometimes it's really close. So, yeah, that is really the way. I mean, a lot of millennials, I don't want to say a lot of millennials, maybe a lot of people in general will be like, oh, fuck the system, man. It has nothing to do with me. Like, it's not going to change my life. Nothing's going to change in my life. Like, yeah, man, maybe right now and maybe tomorrow and maybe next week, but you never know what these unless you know, you won't know how it's gonna.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, that means you're just ignorant to the facts. Like, it does affect us. Like, whether it's in your taxes or it's in
all the legal issues they bring in and like all their rules, you know.
Yeah.
I just hate how like our country is so divided.
It's a tribalism.
It's so sad. Like,
it's a tribalism all the way.
It's like you go into a country like China or Russia, or you go into a country as small as Colombia or Peru, and people are united. People are more, you know, and like one. And I get the United.
They're happier too, probably. Like overall happiness.
Because
we have a lot of depressed people here.
Yeah, we have, because people just feel like they always need more, and that's what causes depression.
Yeah, and the competition too between people. Like,
Staying
it is a
humble,
race to the fucking top in this country.
In the United
States.
States.
It's very competitive. If you're not grinding 24/7, then you're losing.
In other countries, it's like you just need enough to be, you know, sufficient enough to have, like, you know, feed your kids, feed your family, have a roof over your head, you know, live a comfortable lifestyle's enough. But and I feel like in America, everyone's just on a different level of grinding.
No, because this is supposed to be the place that you come to make everything happen and make it all work for yourself.
And what better place to do that than right by New York City, New Jersey? You know?
Yeah, that's
by
it.
Atlantic City, like, you
True.
know. We're literally like 2 hours away from the city, and like it's awesome. I think we're both close to the city, right?
What, like here? You're saying?
Back home.
Oh, I'm like 50. Oh, from New York, I'm like 2 hours.
But from your house?
An hour and a half, yeah, somewhere around there. Philly, I'm still like 50 minutes though.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm close to there, but I'm like on the west side, so I'd have to go like through Jersey the whole.
True.
But it's still not that far. Like, I take a bus.
Train,
bus. I would just take the bus. Like when I would used to go in for the auto show or something.
It's definitely I like that. It's convenient, and like there's so many
It is really
opportunities.
cool. Like, people come from all over the world to go to places that are like
right next to us. Yeah, and I live like 45.
It is a
from
metropolis.
City,
like, it basically is like a huge aggregation. Like, especially New York City. Like, it's so there's so many people. And things are going 24/7.
Oh my gosh! So no one like
you can't stop.
When I'm in the city, like shooting or doing like a video. I just did a video the other day with my friend Eddie. Or just like filming different stuff, and there's just people 24/7 walking around me doing all these things, and like sometimes I just like to jump into someone's life and like look from their perspective for a second. There's just so much going on. I couldn't even do that, you know. People walking so fast, you know. Can't even put myself in their shoes or anything like that.
Nah, and they've been up for 19 hours, and they're on
like
fucking
4
on their
shots.
third shift and shit. Like, yeah, for real, bro.
But
that's a grind.
Yeah. So that's that. I do like going to the city though. It's definitely fun. Like,
I'm getting there. I'm a country boy. I grew up in the country. Like,
I like country too.
Yeah.
It's because of Russia.
Yeah, you know that side of it.
It's just
but the more I go to the city, like, the more I like it. But I also find things that I don't like about it. So
gotta go and get dollar slices, yo.
Yeah, OG.
They make it worth it.
That is what I have had. I have had the dollar slices.
They make it worth it. But there's like cheap things to get in the city, but the city could also get expensive. You just have to know the ways to get around. I take the PATH train in, so I save like money. It's only $3 per ride, $2.75 per ride.
That's nothing.
A couple stops like Hoboken, Harrison, Newark, and like all these other streets before hitting the World Trade Center. So it's like a really cheap way to travel into the city. Yeah. That's what I like to do. But I drive a lot actually into the city. Oh my gosh.
Like when you shoot, you usually gosh. Well, you got like stuff to bring with you, and
driving to the city is so freaking hectic, dude. Lincoln Tunnel.
I won't even drive into Philly.
Driving to Philly is like not even as bad as driving to the city.
No, it's a dream compared to New York. I know.
Oh my god, it's so crazy. Everyone's just my like mentality when I go to the city is let everybody go. Just let them go in front of you because they're gonna hit you.
Yep.
They won't care if you're honking at them. They're still gonna go into your lane if they're an inch away from you. Like,
yep. If you see them going, they're not stopping.
Yeah, they're not stopping because they just know if they go that someone's gonna let them through, and that's the case. Like, no one wants their car hit.
Yeah.
You know, no one needs that fucking.
Yeah, but then you're that guy.
I saw the craziest story. I have the craziest story because I saw the craziest thing when I was in the city. I was in traffic on my way to get into the Lincoln Tunnel, and it was me and my ex-boyfriend sitting in the car, and next to us there's a big white van, And behind the van, there's this lady, and there's a kid in the back. And we're, like, parallel. There's 2 lanes, like, super traffic, super slow. We're moving, like, inches at a time. And I look at her, and she, like, turns around to, like, her kid to say something, to do something. Accidentally hits the white van in front of her. And she's like, oh, you know, like, all that. And I see this happen, and I'm like, oh. And then my lane moves a little forward, and I look at the guy in the window, and it's this Asian man sitting. He goes, and I literally go, and then I look at the lady, and the lady's, like, looking to see if he gets out of the car, and he's not getting out of the car, and I'm like, I don't know. The guy literally smiled at me and was just like,
oh, I don't know.
He was like, it's fine.
Let's just keep going.
Exactly. Like,
yeah, but if you think about it, he's in the van.
He doesn't care. It's probably not his van A.
Yeah.
He didn't give a fuck. He didn't want problems.
Yeah.
I was so shook. I was like, wow. Someone swiped me once in the city, too.
Yeah.
People stop, like, in the middle of the road, and they get out of their car, and they'll leave their car. And then, like, therethere's no room for cars to pass because, like, city, like, streets are so narrow.
So
and
narrow.
Parking is a bitch. But, like, I've had to, you know, I've, like, just tried to get through before, and, like, the person just purposely wouldn't move because I was honking and stuff. And I've had I was in a rush, and then I've gotten scratched before and stuff. But
cities,
cities, man, literally, like, it's a struggle.
It's the grind. It's
grind,
part of it. It's part of it. Yeah,
honestly,
that's just what you have to accept for doing what you do.
Anyone who wants to get into
would you move there?
Like the city?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not my vibe.
No,
I love the city.
Yeah.
I like being there for the day, but I like coming home to my nice, you know, warm home in New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not in the getting out of the city.
Yeah, like,
it makes the city nice.
Nature everywhere around me, like beautiful lakes and
trees,
trees and rivers and
I need that
reservations.
I need that too.
I need that nature in my life. Like, I love being down here in Galloway because of, like, the prairies and then, like, the sunsets and, like, the beautiful fields and all the forest, and it's like the nature aspect reminds me of Russia.
You gotta come up where I live too.
No, we're going. We're gonna shoot.
Let's do it.
We're gonna shoot. You're gonna invite your friend.
We got the views.
Aaron's gonna come. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fucking dope.
Let's get it.
We're gonna create some cool content.
Yeah, we're gonna get, like, it's gonna be a squad out there.
We'll bring the BOP merch.
Yeah, we'll bring BOP merch. Oh, Honda. Hopefully have some more BOP merch or something.
Bet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sweet
well, shit. Well, let's see what we're doing here. We're at an hour.
Hour?
Yeah, we're at an hour.
Damn.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
That's a ripper.
That is a wow. Can't even. I kind of, like, forgot. You know.
What did I say? Isn't that what I said?
You said I'd forget.
I speak the truth.
You do speak the truth.
I know how these things go.
I literally thought, like, you know, we'd have, like, 30-minute podcast. No, an hour. Wow, it's crazy. Totally forgot.
It's been real.
It's been a really good.
It's
podcast.
Awesome. Like, we touched on a lot of topics.
Different topics, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just really happy that you can speak from your perspective because, like, I can't. You know, like, I don't know what that industry is. I don't know.
Yeah,
like, I feel bad because, like, not my audience is, like, it's almost 50-50 guys, girls. I think it's, like, more guys. Like, it's, like, probably 60, 40, somewhere around there. It probably changes a little bit, but, like, I don't have a ton of content for girls. Like, I don't, like, specifically, you know, I just talk about whatever, but that's why, like, it's great to get girls like you on here to just speak your perspective because I want to offer that content, but I can't do it myself.
Yeah, hopefully people who, like, want to try modeling will just take the advice. Yeah. Just start up with some, like, for fun photos, you know, post some pictures of yourself with a camera instead of a phone, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Even though, like, we know the iPhone 10, it's got the
portrait mode.
Decent, but get your mans with Smilo with the DSLR.
Yes. Yo,
Aaron Smilo photography for your photography needs.
So talented, guys. Literally, he's the best. He's awesome.
Yeah, we just not we. I was doing the dishes, but you guys ripped that. Had a shoot on set, and it was awesome. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for rocking the merch.
Of course.
Thanks for coming by, killing it.
I had a great time with you guys. It's been such a good night. It's been fun.
Yeah, we try to do what we can out here and make it accommodating.
Yeah, and I love, like, how our energies just flow together and the collaboration level. It's great.
Oh yeah.
So it's smooth, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, we try. The more people I collaborate with, talk to, meet with, the better it gets. The easier it is.
Right.
To kind of feel people out and see what they can, you know, what type of things they can come up with.
And it's fun. You know? Like, I had a good time. So it's
all that matters to me.
Definitely.
Have fun. Teach people. Let's get it. Woo! Thank you. This has been BOPCAST.
Yes, guys.
Episode 6, baby. And so we are on every single platform, BOPCAST. Please search BOPCAST or Brian Sullivan. You'll find me on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the Anchor app, YouTube, and Spotify. There's a few other ones in there that I don't know if people use, but if you do, we're on there too, okay? We accommodate, like I said. So I'm Sully. This is Mel. It's been an amazing BOPCAST.
Thanks for listening, guys, for those who did tune in.
Yeah, and let them know where you can where they can find you and your...
You can hit my Instagram, Melana. It's just Melana, AAA, a bunch of A's at the end.
Yeah, it's like 4 A's, I think
so. But he'll probably tag it below.
Yep. I'll link it up and everything.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks
for your
guys.
Time. Appreciate it.
This has been BOPCAST. Catch y'all on the next one.